Okay, I see the live stream has begun. Hello, I'm Councillor Philip Davis. I'm chairing this hearing of the Subcommittee A of the Licensing and Public Protection Committee of the City Council. Microphones have been muted to help with the sound quality. Committee members will have their cameras switched on throughout the hearing. And again, we've taken all usual precautions to make sure there are no interruptions, mobile phones off, etc. It's very important, obviously, that everyone can hear the panel and the participants for obvious reasons. And any distractions means that I may suspend the meeting temporarily to another date and time under the regulations of these types of meetings. I can also confirm this is a public meeting and is therefore being live streamed on the City Council's website so the general public can see it. As a the formal agenda is as follows. 1, notice of recording webcast. The chairman I advise the meeting to note that as this is a public meeting, it will be webcast by live or subsequent broadcast on the council's meeting YouTube site via the link in the agenda, and that members of the press and public may record and take photographs except where there are confidential or exempt items. 2, declarations of interest. Members are reminded they must declare all relevant pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests arising from any business to be discussed at this meeting. If a disclosure of pecuniary interest is declared, a member must not speak or take part in that agenda item. Any declarations will be recorded in the minutes of the meeting. 3, apologies and notification of nominee members. We've had no substitute members today. And so can I welcome you to this hearing for an application in respect of Fox and Goose off-licence and convenience store, 885 Washwood Heath Road, Washwood Heath, Birmingham, B8 2NA. So first, some introductions. As I said, I'm Councillor Philip Davis. I'm chairing this meeting of Licensing Subcommittee A today. With me are the 2 other members of the subcommittee, Councillor Martin Straker-Welds and Councillor Bob Beecham. Also present in this meeting are the following officers: the Licensing Officer, Mr. Bhupinder Nandra, Committee Manager, Ms. Katie Townsend, and the Committee Lawyer, Ms. Joanne Swampilline. And I'll now ask the parties to identify themselves. There's only one party attending, and that is Mr. Patrick Burke. Mr. Burke, are you hearing us okay?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. And as you know, we've agreed if you keep your camera off because we had that problem with reception earlier, but we'll obviously come to you verbally in due course. Those making representations, we received some letters of representation, but no one has confirmed attendance today, and so there are no actual attendees making representations today. So my next question is irrelevant, which was about representations being withdrawn. So I assume all parties have read and understood the Licensing Committee's procedural rules. I know, Mr. Burke, you're well versed in these hearings, and also that you understand our process in terms of the online hearing and the use of the chat function and all those other issues. I won't go into all that detail. We use the chat as a back and also a list for attendance. We've asked Mr. Burke to keep his camera off because we were having some problems with the connection, the online connection, but he will be speaking to us, and that ought to be clear on the live stream. Members of the committee will keep their cameras on unless again we have technical difficulties which require us to turn them off to improve the width of the broadband. Mr. Burke, can I ask you, did you have any preliminary points at this stage? Mr. Burke? No. Okay, thank you. Right, again, procedure. Again, Mr. Burke, I know you're well versed in these matters and you know the licensing officer, Mr. Nandra, will present the report, and then you will be asked to make your case, which we asked it to be kept to no more than 20 minutes if possible. We have no representations, so that again is not relevant to the agenda. And again, can I ask parties to speak slowly and clearly as they can, as this assists the officers take minutes. And if any time it's somebody else's turn to speak, we'll mute our microphones to try and make sure that the communication is as effective as possible. Members of the subcommittee will be able to ask questions at any stage, but we try to do so at the end of the of any presentation, and they'll indicate to me in the usual way verbally, or they'll get a message into the chat to me if they need to ask those questions. And any problems, again, will be notified to me about the technical side, so that we can make sure that the public is able to see this hearing and that everyone is able to participate. It may be necessary for the subcommittee to take legal advice from time to time. So at my discretion, I may ask all parties to wait in the meeting while members and the relevant officers withdraw to take legal advice using a separate meeting within Microsoft Teams. We'll then return to this meeting and continue. Please note that if any time the live stream being broadcast on the City Council website fails, I will ask you all to mute your microphones and cameras and to stop speaking until the live stream is restored. And then if at any time we go into private session, the meeting manager will pause the live stream. Once the private part of the meeting is over, I'll ask the meeting manager to confirm the live stream has started again, and then we'll be able to continue. And then at the end of the hearing, as you know, Mr. Burke, I ask all parties, yourself in this case, to make a brief closing submission. And then no decision is taken until all that evidence has been heard. At the decision-making stage, the members and the relevant officers will withdraw from this meeting in order to determine the decision. We go into separate Microsoft Teams. And if we need to clarify any point, we will contact by telephone. The members will then make their decision. Notification of the determination of the application will be sent out to all parties, pardon me, within 5 working days. I think that's a well understood process. I know you understand that, Mr. Burke. One thing I missed out, actually, on the chat function, we all put in our names. So I'm going to ask everybody to go to chat now and just record their attendance for the record. So the chat function is that usual bubble at the top of the screen, which never appears when I need to use it. Where are we? Let's have a look. There we are.
Hasn't appeared for me either.
Oh, hasn't it? Okay.
The bubble.
Yeah, it should be like a speech.
Is it the
It might be slightly different on yours, but it should be. It's a speech bubble on our system.
I've got a hand.
Right. Well, it's not desperately important if you can't actually record that.
Oh, I've found it.
You found it.
I think
it's just, it helps us. It's a sort of physical record of the meeting. So if you can just put your name in there and representative or whatever, however you want to describe yourself, agent, then that will give us a record. Are you able to do?
Yeah, I think it's on there now. Yeah. I think it's on there. It's okay. On there with the hand. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, that's right. You pressed the hand button. I can see it now. Yes, but that's to speak, of course. So if you want to get the hand button down, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We can press on. The main thing is I'm receiving you loud and clear, as they say. So you'll be able to speak to us, and we can all hear what you want to say. Okay. So that's the procedure. And so with that, I'd like to ask the licensing officer, Mr. Bhupinder Nandra, to present his report, please. Mr. Nandra.
Thank you, Chair. Brintha Selasamy applied on the 20th of September 2021 for the grant of a premises license for Fox and Goose off-license and convenience store, 885 Washwood Heath Road, Birmingham, B8 2NA. The purpose of the report is to consider representations that have been made in respect of an application for a premises licence which initially sought to permit the sale of alcohol for consumption off the premises to operate from 6 AM until 12 midnight Monday to Sunday. After discussions with West Midlands Police, the applicant has agreed to reduce the hours for the sale of alcohol and will now operate from 6 AM until 11 PM Monday to Sunday. The premises is to remain open to the public from 6 AM until 11 PM Monday to Sunday. Representations have been received from other persons, which are attached at Appendices 1 and 2. The application is attached at Appendix 3. A reduction in hours has been agreed with West Midlands Police and the applicant. This confirmation is attached at Appendix 4. The site location plans are attached at Appendix 5. When carrying out its licensing functions, a licensing authority must have regard to Birmingham City Council's Statement of Licensing Policy and the guidance issued by the Secretary of State under Section 182 of the Licensing Act 2003. The licensing authority is also required to take such steps as it considers appropriate for the promotion of the licensing objectives. Councillors, the options available to you today are to grant the licence in accordance with the application, to reject the application, to grant the licence subject to conditions modified to such an extent as considered appropriate, exclude from the licence any other licensable activities to which the application relates, or to refuse to specify a person in the licence as the premises supervisor. Thank you, Chair. Chair, you're on mute, Chair.
On mute.
Sorry, yes, there we are. I'm back on now, I think. So thank you very much, Mr. Nandra. And now, Mr. Burke, we come to you. It's your opportunity to obviously make your presentation in favour of the licence application. Mr. Burke.
Thank you, Chair. Just give you a little bit of background into this premises, because I think it is very important now. The premises was previously licensed for many years without issue. The previous license holder sold the business in 2018. The then new owner didn't submit an application to transfer the license until 2019. So they actually ran the premises for 12. The then owners that initially bought the business in 2018 ran the business without transferring anything without attempting to transfer anything until 2019. So they actually ran it for 12 months without making any changes. When they submitted the application to transfer the license in 2019, as you're aware, as part of the application, background checks were completed on the applicants, and the police objected to that application. That application was then withdrawn, and about a week later, another application was submitted. But that applicant was found to be related to the previous applicant that the police had originally objected to. The lady who left the shop in 2018 then surrendered the licence, which is why there's no licence on the premises to date. During the application period, the police checked the background of the applicant and are happy that there is no connection to the previous two applications. I hope that's clear. It does seem a bit confusing, but I do hope that that's clear. That the crux of this is that the shop was run very successfully for many years up until 2018. In 2018, somebody else bought the shop, didn't submit an application for 12 months. When they submitted the application to transfer, that application was then scrutinised by the police and they objected to it. They then tried to put a relative state that a relative had bought the shop or something, and that again was objected to. And the lady who initially held the licence up until 2018 then surrendered the licence. The objections, both both of the objections refer to the previous issues at the premises. As I said, the premises was run for many years without issue, and the issues only arose when the premises changed hands in 2018. I emailed both of the objectors, and a copy of the email was sent to the police and to the licensing authority, explaining the situation at the premises and explaining that this particular applicant I have known for many years. Herself and her husband have had many shops in the Birmingham area over the last 16 years that I've known them, and I've run these shops without issue. I explained in the email that they could contact Chris Jones or Mark Swallow, who would be happy to confirm the content of the email that I'd sent. I had a response from one of the objectors stating that in his opinion there were many objectors to this application. Birmingham City Council received two objections from local residents. Once I'd confirmed the objections, I spoke to Chris Jones, who was happy for the objectors to contact him or Mark Swallow to allay their concerns. So after the objections had come in, I actually contacted Chris and asked him if he would mind, as there were only two objections, if he would mind me suggesting that they contact the police to allay their concerns, which he was happy to do. The objection also, the returned email also states that the shop is still being run by the same family. My clients have not finalised the lease on the shop, and no alcohol will be sold from the shop until they take over the ownership. This was explained to the police during the application process, and they're satisfied with that position. So the police during the application period are aware that my clients hadn't actually taken over a lease, hadn't actually completed on the lease, but they were happy for this application to go through. My clients have run a number of businesses over the 16 years that I've known them without issue. There have been historical issues with this shop, but only as a result of poor management. My client would be happy for a condition to be included in the application to state that no one involved in the day-to-day management of the premises between 2018 and November 2021 will be allowed at the premises. So I'd be quite happy for a condition to be put in there that states that nobody that had previously run the shop from 2018 would have any involvement in the future running of the shop. The issues with this shop were nothing to do with the area or any ongoing issues in the area. In fact, the issues in this shop were purely to do with the people that took over the business from the long-standing operator that had been there up until 2018. There was no issues prior to these people taking over the shop in 2018. So, in my opinion, to refuse the application be akin to someone buying a car from a convicted drink driver and not being able to drive it because of the history of the previous driver. We have potential here to have a good operator running this business as it should be run and to the benefit of the community. I think that's all I've got to say. at this stage. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you've got.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burke. Okay, we'll go to questions, members' questions. Councillor Straker-Wells, have you got a question?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, if I may. You've made 2 points, Mr. Lee. One is about the role of management, but also about the fact that with the present applicants, with what happened before. And my questions are really based upon that particular premise. Given the reputation acquired by the occupants in 2018, how can this be countered? And the other question really, how will you avoid the kind of problems raised by the objectors, which are now historically with the premises? And then the final question, sorry, it's all in threes. What is the profile of customer? In other words, to put it crudely, what kind of customer will you expect to attend? Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Burke?
Sorry, Councillor, I didn't get your first question. If you could just repeat your first question for me.
Do you want to repeat the question?
Yes, if I may, thank you. You've made the point about the experience of the have run premises like this without any problems. However, the point I'm making is that a reputation has been acquired by the people who were previously running this since 2018. And how can you counter this reputation? Will hang around the premises, which is why the objectors points. Thank you, Chair.
Chairman, I'm having problems with this breaking up. It's making no sense to listen to it at my end. Are you having the same?
There's a bit of interference, certainly, Mr. Burke, and you've obviously had some difficulty as well. Let's try and if we remove our camera presence, so if we take our cameras off, let's try see if that improves it. So would members do the same? Thanks. Basically,
shall I do the questions one at a time, Chair?
Well, let me just summarise, because obviously I did hear what you said. Mr. Burke, did you hear the question the second time round?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, well, just for Councillor Beecham's benefit, the question was really about what could be done in terms of distancing the, if the licence were granted, the premises from the previous history around 2018, because these are the matters of concern that are raised by the objectors. Mr. Burke, would you like to respond to that?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, as I said, my clients have run this type of business for over 16 years and have been very successful in doing so. The issues have only arisen in the last 2 years. Sorry, in the last 3 years, since 2018. That's when the issues first appeared, when the previous owner that had run the shop for many years up until 2018 sold the business on. I think simply through the experience that my clients have had over the last 16 years, they are completely different people. They are a completely different family. They have different standards and different morals. The issues, and I'm not sure whether it's because I know that this has gone to hearing before with the objections. The issues in 2000 that came to light in 2019 when the application was submitted to transfer the licence were primarily that this business was not being run as a shop. It was basically a front for other uses. That's where the issues were. Now, this obviously that is not going to happen. I actually dealt with the people that took over the shop in 2018, so I personally know what the issues were, and I can't state that kind of at a public hearing. But what I can say is that when I went to get the paperwork signed to transfer the license initially in 2019, I went there at 11 o'clock and the shop wasn't even open. So it wasn't being run as, you know, a legitimate convenience store. That's what the issues were. So this is something that my clients have never been involved with and would never be involved with. So I think once the public, the local residents realise that this shop has been taken over by decent people who plan to run it as the business that it should be, they will give them their support.
Thank you for that, Mr. Burke. Did everybody get that?
Yes, sir.
Yep. Okay. Councillor Beecham, have you got any questions?
Yes, please, Chairman, if I may. Is there a definite link in any way or not as to the third group being related to any of the other people that have run the shop, firstly? And if I could have some details of what is being expected of them from the police, I'd be very grateful.
During the application period, the police actually check all applicants, and obviously that was a concern and was something that was checked out by, I think it was Mark Swallow that actually initially that was dealt with this application, and he was satisfied that there is no connection between the lady that's taking over this premises now and the people that took over the premises in 2018. I know that myself because I know the people. The people that are taking over this shop now, I've known for 16 years. You know, I've done I've done applications to transfer them onto existing shop. Over that time, I've done applications for new premises for them, and they have never ever been involved in anything that came to light with the people that were involved in 2000 that took over the premises in 2018, and there is absolutely no connection whatsoever to them. To these people. With regards to expectations from the police, within the only amendment that the police asked within the application was that we would reduce the hours, the closing time from midnight to 11 o'clock, which they were happy to do. So the police are obviously satisfied that these people are decent operators. They're satisfied that they've got no connection whatsoever to the people that or have been running the shop since 2018, and they are obviously are able to obtain a lot more information than I can give you. about any of these people, but I personally know these people that are making this application today very, very well. And I can categorically say, hand on heart, that there is no connection whatsoever.
Thank you very much. Is there any reason for the 6 o'clock opening, if I can ask that of you? And what sort of split is there between grocery and the like, and a liquor license and the like?
The 6 o'clock opening is it was the shop now currently opens at 6 o'clock, and was historically, it was always licensed from 6 o'clock in the morning until midnight. The breakdown with from what I know with the previous premises that they've run is probably about 25% alcohol, and the rest is groceries and general goods, bread, milk, and whatever. So that is the type of business that's there. Where this shop is on a busy main road, it's actually right opposite a bus stop. So you would get probably a lot of people that possibly working shifts and whatever, getting off the bus outside this shop and wanting to utilise it. It's also obviously being used or will be used by the local community, which it was before. And I remember when I went to pick up the signed paperwork, I was absolutely amazed. And I actually made a comment to Chris Jones about the fact that I couldn't believe that a shop in that position at that time, at 11 o'clock in the day, wasn't open. So they plan on running this shop as a proper shop for the local community.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. That's very helpful.
Thank you for those questions, colleagues. And you have offered this condition, Mr. Burke, of no one associated with the previous premises operation from 2018 to 21 will be allowed involvement in the new operation if we grant the licence. Absolutely.
There is no involvement whatsoever with it. So there's no reason for any previous staff members, anything like that, to be involved in the future running of this business.
Okay, thank you for that. I think that's all our questions. Right. So that's the questions from members, and you now get an opportunity to sum up, actually, Mr. Burke. So would you like to sum up your case?
I think really the bulk of what needed to be said, I think, has been said. As councillors, you have an opportunity here to put this premises into the hands of decent people who will run this business properly, professionally, and for the good of the community. That hasn't been done at this premises for probably the last 3 years, and these things need to change.
Okay, that is your case then. Okay, thank you, Mr. Burke.
Thank you.
So I'll now ask all the parties, Mr. Burke, to leave the MS Teams meeting, and the members of the committee lawyer and the committee manager will go into private session while the subcommittee makes its decision. And you'll be notified, as you know, Mr. Burke, of the decision of the subcommittee within 5 working days. So thank you very much for your contribution here today. And
thank you.
We'll take a 5-minute comfort break, and then we'll meet again in the private session, colleagues. So thank you. I close the public hearing at this stage. Thank you very much.